welcome to Zakai Maths. Today I'm going to be going through the 2020 June paper, paper number 2, which is a calculator paper. This is a higher paper and I'm going to go through the first 13 questions in the first video, and the second video is going to carry on from question 14 all the way to the end. So please take some notes as I go through these questions, and make sure that you ask any questions you have in the comments below. Right, starting off with question 1, which of these is a correct identity? So what we need to remember about identities is that we have certain signs in maths. We know this is an equality. That means what you have on one side is going to be equal to the numerical value on the other side, or two expressions are going to be equal to each other. Whereas identities are written down as 3 lines on top of each other, and this would mean that you're going to need to have the same thing on both sides. Okay, you're just going to treat this as a mirror line, and this would mean that what you have on one side will replicate the thing on the other side, and it needs to look exactly the same. So when we look at this one here, we've got 6x is identical to 18. That is not going to be possible because this is actually an equation. You could write it down as an equation to find out the x. 2x plus 1 is identical to 7. Same thing here. This is again an equation, so we can't count this. This section here, 7x plus 9 is identical to x. It is not really, it's not the same thing on both sides, and this is unknowns on both sides where you will need to solve the equation. So this would mean that they were meant to be putting an equal sign in between. And this one here, 4x plus x is going to be 5x, and in fact 5x is identical to 5x. So this is going to be your answer, and you're going to be circling that as it says circle your answer, and this is how you get full marks from this question. Question number 2 is giving us 2 triangles, and it asks us to circle the reason why these triangles are congruent. Congruent shapes are identical, they are the same shapes, and they could be rotated, reflected, and so on. So as you can, when you look at these, there are different types of triangles that we can have. We can have right angle, hypotenuse, side. We can have angle, side, angle. We can have side, side, side. So right angle, hypotenuse, side is going to look something like this, where you've got a right angle, you've got the information given to you for hypotenuse, and one of the sides are given to you, like for example this side or this side here. The next one is going to be angle, side, angle, which looks like angle, side, angle, or it could be angle, side, angle, or it could be angle, side, angle. So 2 angles and a side will be given to you. With SSS triangles, which is side, 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 you have a triangle where you have 3 information given to you. So you've got the side, side, and side. So you've got like 5, 4, 3, let's say. I'm just making out. This is what it looks like. And this is going to be side, angle, side, which would mean you've got a side, you've got an angle that connects to the next side. Okay, which is the triangle that we have here. We've got a side, we've got an angle in between, and there is another side. So this is going to be called a side, angle, side triangle, and that's how you get 1 mark from this question. Right, so for question number 3, it says circle a number that is written in standard form. So what we know about standard form is that the first part of standard form needs to be written down as number in between 1 and 10. So if I'm going from 1 to 10, I can easily just see that this is not going to be the case, this is not going to be the case, so I'm just going to be comparing this and this. So the difference between these two is that whenever you have times 10 to the power of something, that either needs to be a negative integer or a positive integer. So since this is a decimal, this section here, this is not going to be the answer, and your answer is going to be 5.2 times 10 to the power of negative 4, and that's how you get full marks from this question. Question number 4, circle the expression that has the largest value when a is less than negative 1. Any number that is less than negative 1 substituted into these a's will give us an outcome. So when you substitute them, you are going to have an outcome, and then we are going to then check which one is going to be the largest value. So anything less than negative 1 is going to be any number that's like negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, and so on. If I take negative 2, for example, and substitute it in here, I'm going to have half times negative 2, that's going to give you a negative 1. When I substitute negative 2 into a, that's going to be negative 2. If I square a negative 2, Remember, if you type this into your calculator, this is a calculator paper, and if you do it in the calculator and without the brackets, sometimes your calculator is going to give you a -4, but that is wrong. You need to always substitute values inside the bracket. That's why I'm including brackets around here, okay? -2 squared is going to give you a +4, and then -2 cubed is, this means -2 times -2 times -2. -2 and -2 is going to give you a 4. 4 times -2 is going to give you a -8. Okay, so the largest value for this question is going to be 4, because -2, -1, -8, they are smaller than 4. This would mean that this option is going to be the largest value when A is less than -1. So this is how you get full marks from this question. Question 5. The time students spent watching TV was recorded. The table shows the average daily time per student each year from 2012 to 2019. And we've got the table here. Time series graph is drawn to represent the data. The first 4 points have been plotted. So they have plotted 1, 2, 3, 4 points. And they expect us, complete the graph. Okay, so that would mean they expect us to plot the rest. So we're going to be doing 2016 to 113. So 2016. 113, somewhere around here. We've got 2017, which is 100, 2017, 100, 2018 to 90, and 2019 is going to be 82, which is around there, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So each little square is 2, guys. So it's going to look something like this, and then I'll grab my ruler to draw these lines. Let me just draw this final one correctly. Something like this. And then the second part of the question is saying, can you use the graph to estimate the average daily time per student in year 2020? So when we look at year 2020, the information is not given to us in the table. So what we need to do is we need to roughly estimate where it is going to be. So 2020 is going to be here somewhere. So going up, it's going to be like somewhere around there. That is going to be 24, that's 74. Okay. Remember, it's an estimate, and you will have a range for these type of questions. Okay, and this is how you get 2 from this and 1 from there. That's how you get full marks from this question. Right, question 6. Work out the highest common factor, HCF, of 75 and 105. So how I usually go about these questions is I do the factor tree first, and then I use a Venn diagram. The reason why I use a Venn diagram is because it will help you to answer questions with your probability. So I know 3 times 25 will give me 75, so 3 is a prime number, and 5 times 5 will give me 25, both of which are prime numbers. Next one, I've got 5 times 21, that will give me 105. For 21, I've got 3 and 7, both of them are prime numbers. And then I do my Venn diagram here, and then I'm going to write down 75 on this side, 105 on this side. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use a different color. Each pair on each side will be written down in the middle section once, okay? Not twice, once. Because if you were to separate this Venn diagram, this 3 will belong to 75 and 105, okay? Now, 5 and 5 is again another pair. I'm going to write it down. There isn't another 5 on the 105 side, so 5 over here, 7 over here. Anything you multiply in between, everything that you have in the middle, multiplied together is going to give you the highest common factor. Everything multiplied together in the Venn diagram is going to give you the lowest common multiple. Okay. The question is asking to find out the highest common factor. That would mean the HCF is going to be 3 times 5, which is 15. Okay. And this is how you get full marks from this question. Question number 7. Here's a graph of y equals x squared minus 7x plus 10. That's a quadratic graph. for values of x from 0 to 7. So they started off the table from 0 all the way up to 7. Write down the roots of x squared minus 7x plus 10 equals 0. So the roots are always going to be the sections that are crossing from the x-axis. So you've got 2 and 5. Okay. 2 and 5, we can just do the comma. Write down the x-coordinate of the turning point of the curve. So they just want you to find out the x-coordinate of the turning point. The turning point is going to be somewhere here. You could roughly figure out that it's going to be 3.5. However, I would recommend you to do this method. So you are simply trying to find out the point that is in between 2 and 5. That's going to be the middle point. So if I'm trying to find out what's right in the middle of two numbers, what I do is if I add them up and half it, it's going to be the exact point that I'm looking for. So 5 plus 2 is 7, divided by 2 is going to be 3.5. The reason why I'm showing this method is because it might not be as straightforward as this question. So you might have to add the numbers and half it to find out the exact x value. Okay, so the exact x coordinate for this one is going to be 3.5, which was the point that is in between 2 and 5. And this is how we get full marks from this question. Question 8. At a party, there are 90 people, 48 are women and 42 are men. Some women leave, some men arrive. The ratio of women to men is now 10 to 11. Are there now more than 90 people at the party? Tick one box. Okay, if I just start off with the information given to me, I'm going to write women to men to start with was 48 to 42. It is now the ratio when some people left from this side. So some people left from this side. That means I'm going to take a number away from this. And some people added on to this side. And now my ratio is going to be able to simplify down to 10 to 11. This is an indication that this number here, when we take it away and end up with the new ratio, has to be divisible by 10 for it to be able to simplify it. Okay? So the new number that I'm going to be looking at, this is the new number, and this is the new number for this one. This must be divisible by 10 and smaller than 48 because it says this many people left. And this side needs to be, so this is, must be divisible by 11 for it to be able to simplify down to 11. And greater than 42 because more people were added to this side. So any number that's going to be around 48 and 42 that could 48 over here to be divisible by 10, I'm going with 40, and over here I'm going with 44. 40 is less than 48 when divided by 4 is going to give you 10. 44 is greater than 42, and when divided by 4 is going to give you 11. Okay, so this would mean the new number of people, so 8 people left and two people joined on the men's side. Okay, 8 women left and 2 men arrived. The new ratio you have is 40 to 44. Yes, it can be simplified down to 10 to 11, but they're asking you to check if there are 90 people at the party now. So if I've got 40 women and 44 men, that means I'm going to have 84 people. 84 people in total. So it is going to be 84 is less than 90. So no, there aren't going to be 90 people at the party. Okay, so we'll say so less than 90. There you go. And this is how we get full marks from this question. Question 9, here's a cuboid. one side is not given to us. It says assume that the total surface area of the cuboid is 200 centimeters squared. Work out the volume of the cuboid. In order for us to be able to work out the volume of this cuboid, we'll have to find out what y is. So let's quickly use the information given to us, which says the surface area is 200 centimeters squared. So surface area is, if you find out the area of each face and add them all up, it's going to give you the surface area of any shape. So I've got right and left, that's the same. I've got the bottom, front, top and back the same, because this is y, this is 5, this is y, this is 5. That's just an indication that the front and back, top and bottom are the same. So the area of the side, the right hand side, is going to be 5 times 5, which is 25. The area of this is going to be 5 times 5, which is 25. Area of your bottom section is going to be 5 times y, which is 5y. And you've got the top, the back and the front, that's the same. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 of this, 5y. Okay, so we've got 25 and 25, that's going to be 50, plus we've got 4 lots of 5y. So 50, 4 times 5 is going to give you 20. 50 plus 20y is going to give you 200 centimeters squared. So this is now solving an equation to find out what y is going to be. If I take 50 away from both sides, just as we would do for solving any equation, 50 and 50 will cancel out. You will have 20y is equal to 150 centimeters squared, divided by 20, divided by 20 to both sides. Y is going to be 150, 20, 0 is gone, half of 15, 7.5. Okay, so y is 7.5 centimeters. I'm going to write down 7.5. The question is asking us to find out the volume, so we would need to do area of the face multiplied by the depth. So area of the face, you could count the face as this front section or face as this section. It's totally up to you. You could do 7.5 times 5 times 5 is what you're doing really in the end. So it's going to be 7.5 times 5 times 5. 5 times 5 is going to give us 25, and then we are going to multiply it with 7.5. That should give us 187.5. 187.5 centimeters cubed. Okay. Now, question 9b. In fact, the total surface area of the cuboid is smaller than 200 centimeters squared. What does this mean? So if this is smaller than 7.5 squared, then, so if it is smaller than 200 centimeters squared, the side for y is going to be smaller. If that is smaller, then the outcome for the volume is going to be smaller because you're multiplying it with a smaller number. Therefore, it is smaller than the answer in A. And this is how you get full marks from this question. Question 10. So this is a question where a lot of students actually struggled with on that year. So I'm going to try and break it down as much as possible for you guys to understand what's going on, because I think it is the wording of the question that just throws students off. Alex and Bev sat 6 tests, each with 50 marks. So Alex sat 6 tests. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These are the 6 tests Alex sat. And Bev sat 6 tests as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it says the table shows their mean percentage after 5 tests. So their mean percentage for each test is going to be 60%. After all 6 tests, their mean percentages were equal. Okay, so this is for Alex roughly 60%, 60%, 60%, 60%, 60% after 5 tests. Okay, this person here is going to be 52%, 52%, 52%, 52%, 52%. The percentage average for both of them once they did the 6th paper is going to be the same. Okay, we have an additional information here where the additional information is Alex scored 24 out of 50 in the 6th test. So if 24 out of 50 is what's given to us, 24 out of 50, we could write this down as a percentage if we were to write this as out of 100. So if I double this and double this, that's going to give you 48. This means Alex's final test is going to be 48%. Okay? Now, work out Bev's score out of 50 in the 6th test. We don't know what this score is. Now, if I try to find out the average percentage for Alex and equate it to the average percentage of Bev, I should be able to find out the average percentage of the 6th test for Bev. And then I can figure out how many marks it's going to be. So for Alex, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lots of 60%. Plus the 48% divided by 6. And this is going to give us the average percentage for all of the tests he took. So the average percentage here is going to be, when I type this into my calculator, it's going to give me 58%. This means that if I find out the average percentage of Bev, it needs to be equal to 58%. So I've got 5 lots of, for Bev, I've got 5 lots of 52% plus the 6th test. There are 6 tests that I need to divide it by 6. Should be 58% as well. Okay. Now, what we need to do using our calculator is, we are going to be solving an equation here. So I'm just going to be doing 5 times 52 first. So 5 times 52 is going to give me 260. So this section here is going to be 260. So I'm just going to write it down again. 260 plus x out of 6 should be 58. We are going to multiply 58 with 6. So we need to times both sides with 6 to get rid of the 6 here. We're solving the equation now. That's gone, that's gone. So that's going to give me 260 plus x is equal to 348. I will then need to take away 260 from both sides, which would mean that I'm going to carry on writing here, x is going to be 88%. So this section here, it was 88%. Okay. Now, the tests, each of these tests are actually out of 50 marks. That means you are looking for 88% of 50 marks. So if I do 50 times 0.88, 50 times 0.88, that's going to give me 44. This means Bev's score out of 50 in the 6th test is going to be 44 out of 50. And this is how we get 4 marks from this question. Right, question 11. A solid piece of silver has mass of 2.625 kilograms, volume 250 centimeters cubed. Work out the density of the piece of silver. Give your answer in grams per cubic centimeter. Okay, grams per cubic centimeter is what we need to give our answer as. however the information given to us as in kilograms. So we need to convert this first of all. So we know that in every kg we have 1000 grams. So for 2.625 kg, if I times this by 1000, it's going to give me 2625 grams. So this is what I'm going to be using in my formula in terms of my mass. Okay, density, this is something that you guys need to remember from your science lessons as well, is equal to mass over volume. So your mass is going to be 2625 divided by volume, we have 250. Typing this into my calculator is going to give me 10.5 grams per centimeters cubed. 10.5. And I don't need to write down the units because it's given to me there. Okay? And this is how you get full marks from this question. Right, question 12. Work out the gradient of the straight line through -2, 3 and 1, 9. And this is going to be a 2-mark question. Okay, so to find out the gradient, let's just write it down. Gradient. We need to remember the formula for gradient, that it's going to be change in y divided by change in x. Okay. So change in y divided by change in x is the same thing as second y take away the first y divided by second x take away the first x. I don't know why I'm writing y. There you go. x1, y1. Remember, in coordinates are given to you as xy in alphabetical order. X is first, y is next, second x, second y. So we need to be doing second y take away the first y, so that's going to be 9 take away 3 divided by second x take away the first x. We need to be careful here because the first x is negative. 1 take away negative 2. 9 take away 3 is going to give us 6. 1 take away negative 2 is going to be, remember, 2 negatives you've got here. You're going to need to take a negative 2 away. That's going to be a positive. 1 plus 2 is 3. 6 out of 3 is the same thing as 6 divided by 3. So that's going to give you 2. So the gradient is 2 for this question. And this is how you get full marks from this question. Question 13. The diagram shows a wall. The area of the wall is 39.2 meters squared. Work out the length of the wall. This is a trapezium, okay? And we need to remember the trapezium formula, where we have A plus B times it by the height, which in this case is going to be the length that we're trying to find out. We'll times it by the length. I'm going to write it as L, and we'll divide it by 2, okay? Which is half AB times the height, area of a trapezium. And the area is 39.2 in this case, so I'm going to be writing down 39.2 for this. So we're going to equate it to 39.2 and solve it to find out the height. Okay. Now, I'm going to be writing this down as 39.2 is equal to A plus B, 2.1 plus 2.8. will be multiplied with the height, the length in this case. When you times something by half, it's the same thing as dividing it by 2. So I'm going to write it down like this. We need to solve this now. I know that 2.1 and 2.8 is going to give me 4.9. So I'll write down 4.9 here. So times both sides with 2. And then we are going to divide both sides with 4.9. So timesing both sides with 2 is going to give you 39.2 times 2 is 78.4 is equal to 4.9 times L Then I need to divide both sides with 4.9. Divided by 4.9, divided by 4.9, which is going to give me L as 16. So L is 16 centimeters. And this is how I get full marks from this question.